All right, real life traders. We are looking at it's Friday, it's January 19th. Um, I you can probably tell by my voice I'm a little hoarse. I been dealing with some chest stuff going on. So anyway, it's funny. I don't know if anybody's a fan of Howard Stern, but years ago, I haven't really listened to him much lately, but there used to be a guy on Howard Stern um, called Pharrell, and he's still on Sirius XM, but his voice sounds like this all the time. I think it's Pharrell. Um, anyway, so bear with me. I feel totally fine. It's just my voice is not been great this week. All right, so we're going to do another session here on analyzing price action and volume. Right, that's kind of like my go-to thing. It's kind of basically what Tony was talking about there at the end about really understanding, analyzing, and understanding candle sentiment and being able to look at a chart and quickly kind of decipher it. And what it will do, it will help you to anticipate the moves that you're looking for. But it's also helping you to find and uh, find those trades with the highest probability of success. And ultimately, that's what we want, right? I mean, we all can trade all day long, and not every trade is equal, right? Some trades are an A setup, some trades are a C setup. And it's like, okay, for me anyway, I've gotten to the point where I'm like, do I want to just take trades just to trade just to click a button, or do I want to be patient and wait for the setups that actually really give me the highest probability of success? And for me anyway, and look, we're all different. We all have our own trading style, our own approach to trading. So I'm just sharing with you my own personal approach to things because, you know, like Tony, back when I started trading 2015, I lost a lot of money initially. And it's taken me time to learn and how to do this. And also, I think when you're first starting out, you feel like you should be trading all the time. You feel like you have to take trade. And the reality is you don't, right? You can sit on your hands and be patient. Wait for the trade to come to you versus you trying to force a trade. So we're looking at Tesla. This is actually today's price action. So I purposely have the candles to the right hidden. This is the very first candle that opened, right? So Tesla opened today. It was actually, interestingly enough, it was a gap down. So retest gap, right? So all of you who are familiar with gaps, we had a red candle yesterday gapping down. So we've got a retest gap. So over here, here's the daily chart. Here's the 3 minute. So Tesla opens up, has a nice push initially, right? And again, it's a 3 minute chart. So if I go to the next candle, right, goes up again. And if you think about it, right, there was a lot of selling right here, this long low. Can everyone see that okay? I know it's pretty close to the edge of the chart. Just give me confirmation that you're able to see the candle okay that I'm pointing at. Again, I know it is pretty close to the edge of the chart. Okay, thanks, Hal. Yeah, so long lower wick here, but at one point this was a bearish candle, right? It opened and it came all the way down here and it got bought up and went back up, right? So good sign there, right? You know that the bulls are still present, right? Clearly, on the open here, right? First 3 minutes, the bulls were definitely there. They came to play. There was a very little wick on top, right? So not much in terms of selling pressure this candle, right? You have a little bit more selling pressure on top, right? But not compared to the buying pressure down below the lower wick, not even close, right? So, okay, great. So the bulls are still there. Next candle. And I'm just, doing nothing at this point, right? I'm just sitting there. So interesting that you get another candle similar to the previous one, but now it is a bearish candle, right? Now, when I say bearish, right? Technically it's bearish. It's bearish because it's red, or it could be black if you're using trading view. But would all you would you agree that given what I just said about this previous candle, even though that's red, do you think it's more bullish or more bearish? Curious what the group thinks. Yeah, Martina. Yeah. It's even though it's red, right? Ah, Frank. Yep. Frank and Martina, by the way, are from they're taking the 90-day class. So they should get these answers because we've been we've been practicing this quite a bit. So yeah, even though it's red, technically it's a bearish candle, it's still got bullish sentiment because look at its long lower wick and there's very little selling pressure up top. Volume, right? Watching the volume. Volume is dropping off. Next candle, right? Boom. Another nice bullish candle. Took out the previous candle, looking strong, right? Now, the way I trade, like I'm not, Dan. Okay, so Dan, who you all should know from the morning room, right? He's he's good at getting into the market early in the morning. I'm more of like a data driven person. I want to see a little bit more price action and data. Next candle, okay. Now make a new high, but now look at it. Now we're getting to be, even though it's bullish, right? We're getting a little more neutral in the sentiment of this candle, right? The body of the candle is much smaller than the previous one, right? The body and the upper wick and the lower wick are even though the lower wick is longer, they're still representing a decent amount of buying and selling pressure on both ends of that candle. Volume, right? Now think about this. Look at the volume of this candle and look at the body, right? So the body is important. Look at the body of this candle. Look at the size of the candle overall, high and low, right? You can clearly see that this candle is much stronger of a candle. There's more conviction in that candle than the latest one. And look at the volume. The volume's the same, right? So when you see that, it should get your attention. And you should start wondering and asking yourself, okay, it made a strong push. Is it ready to pull back? And I don't know because I briefly looked at this chart, but I don't remember what it does from here. But let's just say that you look at that and you see that develop, and you should be thinking to yourself, is it running out of steam right now? Right? That doesn't mean it's going to turn around and go all the way back down to zero. It could, but you just need to be aware that these two candles, right? Looking at those two and the sentiment of both of them, where this was a very strong candle with conviction. And then you look at the next one and it's more indecision than conviction, and the volume's the same. Next candle. Okay. So now you get a bearish candle coming in. What's interesting about this is that, again, at one point, this would have been a bigger, this would have been a bigger bearish candle. But then there is buying pressure, but there's almost no selling pressure above, right? So what that tells you is that it it opened here, right? Right. So on the red candles, the open is at the top. Nobody was buying initially. It just sold off down to here. Then the buyer stepped in and they pushed it up, right? So there's almost zero uh there was almost very little, if any. There's a tiny little wick up there, right? So very little buying pressure in it that went up, right? So most of it was all selling until it got down here, and then the buyer stepped in and pushed it back up. So again, there's buying pressure there, but when you analyze it and you think about it, it's like, okay, well, where were they when the candle first opened, right? Next candle. There you go, right? So that was kind of like a last ditch effort by the bulls here to keep that propped up. Now you get a big candle, but again, look at the volume. Volume's not crazy, right? The volume on that candle, look how big that is, was less than the volume of this candle. So anyway, so now we've started getting a little bit of a pullback here. Okay, so next candle, maybe it's going to hold, right? Because look, this is basically right now what we're doing is we're holding the close of the very first candle, right? You can see that also is about the same location as the open of this candle, close of that candle, the open of this candle, right? So, all right, that makes sense. There's decent support there. Let's check out the next candle. And the other thing to note is when this candle opened here, right, went down initially a little bit, but then look at it. There is zero wick on top. So what that tells you is there was buying, right? After it went down, there was buying all the way into the close of that candle. So that's a good bit bullish sign, right? That there was buying all the way through that candle. But then look at that. See that right there? That, who's going to tell me what that is? What just happened? Yeah, Martina, 100%, right? That is a classic bull trap. People probably saw that candle, analyzed it the same exact way I did, and thought buying right through, that's a strong, even though it was on low volume, right down here. Look, not a lot of volume, but it was buying right through that close of that candle. People probably thought, because you're taught, okay, comes up here, right, pulls down, there's your flag, right, your pullback. Now bracket that candle and catch the next wave up. Well, the problem with that is that more often than not, breakouts and breakdowns fail. And so my role is I will not take breakouts and breakdowns in the middle of the price action, meaning here's the high, here's the low. Anywhere in between here, I'm not taking a breakout. I'm going to let the breakout or breakdown happen. And then I'm going to get in on a limit buy or a limit sell, depending on the direction that I'm going. But I'm certainly not bracketing this candle. If I wanted to get into that trade, if it did actually work, I would have let the next candle come in. And if it closed above this level, then I would have set up a limit. Then at that point, if I got a nice close above this candle, I would have just set up a limit buy. Oh, hang on. I didn't mean for that to happen. And I don't want to give away everything. So I'm going to hit this stop share button. Sorry. We'll come back to it. 2 seconds. I'll get it set back up. Meanwhile, you probably all already have this chart up and you know what's going to happen, but that's okay. All right, so we're back. So classic trap right here. Classic trap, right? People bracketed that, price triggered, they got triggered into the trade, stopped down here, they were triggered in and stopped out in one candle. Those of you who've been there, I've been there, there's nothing worse than getting triggered in and stopped out in a single candle. So bearish candle and volume picked up. Next candle, right? All right, so maybe now it's going to work. Maybe now this might be a bear trap, right? And that's the thing also with Tesla. Like those of you who trade Tesla, you need to understand and recognize Tesla loves to trap. It happens all the time. And as a matter of fact, I did a little analysis on Tesla, and typically Tesla is going to be very wicky from open until anywhere between like maybe 10:15, 10:30. Tesla can be very wicky, and that's exactly, look at all these wicks here, right? So you can see what I'm talking about. So next candle comes in, it's a bullish candle. Volume is okay, but it's nothing, nothing right home about. Some buying pressure down below here. Next candle. Again, there's another classic trap, right? Happens all the time. Another reason why I don't take breakouts if they're occurring between the high and the low of the day. Just don't do it. I don't. I'm going to wait for something to happen and then get in on a limit buy or limit sell. So in this case, because of this initial push on Tesla, right? The initial push, I'm thinking bullish. Well, the only way I'm going to go bullish on any of these candles again is for it to break out and then come back down and get me on a retest. Next candle. Okay, more selling. And again, now let's look at the wick. See how long that upper wick is right there? That's a lot of, at one point, that would have been bullish, right? At one point, it opened and it went up. That would have been bullish and it sold off. So that wick right there just lets you know there's a lot of selling pressure here. And there, there's a little bit of buying pressure down here, but not much, but a lot of selling pressure. Next candle. Okay. Now we have an indecision candle. So again, like, yeah, you just have to be patient, right? You don't know which direction it's going to go at this point, right? Upper wick, lower wick, about the same. Next candle keeps going lower, right? So anybody who attempted to get long after the initial push was getting stopped out. Just didn't work, right? And it would have made sense to try to go bullish just because of the nature of this initial push. So let's wait and see what happens. So now you get a green candle and you get this upper wick here, right? So there's still some selling pressure, even though it's a bullish candle. That to me is looking a little more bearish because of that upper wick. Next candle. Okay, so we're holding this level right here, like that 209, 39, 38 level. But again, long upper wick, right? The sellers are still there. So all the more reason to be patient. Now, before I keep going here, I want to just, because I didn't talk about this initially. I know most of you already know this, but I'm going to repeat it. I'm going to repeat it every time I do this, right? So what I'm looking for, okay, when I said that I'm waiting for the highest probability setups, those setups with the highest probability of success. What I'm waiting and looking for is a hammer at the bottom of a move, either a new low or double bottom with volume, right? So I want to see a hammer candle with a volume spike at the bottom, right? New low of day or at the low of day, double bottom, whatever it is. I want to see a hammer candle with volume. And at the top of a move, I want to see a shooting star, inverted hammer, whatever you want to call it, with volume, a volume spike, right? So volume spike with the shooting star. Now, granted, right, if you bracketed this candle, you would have made a great trade, but that doesn't meet my rules, right? So this is not a shooting star, inverted hammer, whichever term you want to use, and there wasn't a volume spike. So I would have passed. Now, would I passed on a trade that you know, could have made some money? Absolutely. But I don't know it. I don't know it's going to make money, right? But the reason I've selected the hammers and the shooting stars is because in my back trading, those are the ones that do give you the highest probability of success. So that's what, even though I see this and that would have been a great trade, whatever, that's fine. I don't mind. I'm not, not experiencing FOMO. I'm just going to sit and wait for the right setup to come along. So next candle, right? We're still continuing a little bit lower, but notice that volume is picking up, right? So as we approach the low, so here's the low of the day, basically. I know that's pre-market. This is technically the low of the day, but in this area, right? I know that that's the low of the day. So I'm going to be really paying attention now at the low of the day to see if volume starts accelerating, starts picking up. And the reason I'm doing that is because the volume spikes at the bottom of the move represent, if it's at the bottom of the move, right? As this starts accelerating, what it can represent is exhaustion selling, right? Conversely, if it happens at the top of the move, it can represent exhaustion buying. right? And all that means is it's just running out of steam, right? So it's sold off hard, it's running out of steam. And then you see these volume spikes, and you go, okay, like that's it. They're gonna step aside now, and it's gonna reverse. Next candle, right? Again, decent volume, still a long upper wick here, right? So a lot of selling pressure. All right, now you get a bullish candle. That's a nice looking bullish candle. I think you would agree. Now, granted, there is some selling pressure from the top, right? There's a little bit of a wick up here, but it basically opened and it just got bought up, right? Look at there's no lower wick at all to that candle. So it just opened and it got bought. And then when it got way up here, it sold off a little bit, but it held. But here's the thing, key thing is it did not close above these levels right here, right? These upper wicks here, it didn't close above. Now, if it had closed up here, that would be a different story. That would be a much more bullish view, in my opinion. But it failed to close above these wicks here. So, next candle. Okay. Now you did get that close. But again, it's struggling, right? It's still not like rampaging above this candle. And look at volume. Volume's dropping off. So there's nothing like to get excited about volume wise right now. All right. Next candle. All right. There's another trap. Right. Just enough of a wick up to trigger in people looking to go long here. Triggers, sells off. Next candle, indecision, right? Now we got a doji, right? So you really don't know what's going to happen at this point. Got to be patient. All right, nice. You got a pretty good looking bullish candle after that doji, right? Volume's not great, but still, it could, maybe we're getting somewhere. All right, now we come up. Now, this yellow kind of gold line right here is VWAP. So anytime price is below VWAP and it comes up to it, I'm expecting it to get rejected. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to happen every single time, but that's just what I'm going to anticipate. As price comes up to that yellow goldish line, I'm thinking that it will get up here. It could get through it after, on another attempt, but I am expecting it to get rejected, come back down, and then it can make another run at it and get through it. Now, sometimes it just goes right through it, right? Sometimes it just rampages through it, but more often than not, I'm expecting it to get up to that level, get rejected, and pull back a little bit. And next, there you go. So came up, got rejected. All right, now, interesting, right? So who's picking up on what is the most important thing about that candle for me? Frank's got it. The volume, right? Volume. Look at that spike, right? Look left. After these levels here, volume really dropped off. And then it was declining. And boom, suddenly you get a volume spike. That's exactly what I'm looking for, right? Volume spike. Now, what's kind of cool is that it's not exactly like a perfect hammer, but it's hammer-ish, right? Meaning upper body, lower wick, right? Very little wick up top. So to me, that's hammer-ish, right? It's not a perfect hammer, but that's close enough for me. The key thing is, as I mentioned, I want to see the volume spike at a new low of the day or a double bottom, right? So now we are at 1045. So 1045, let's go and see what that looked like on the 5-minute chart, right? Because my next thing that I want to do is, here's all the price action we just looked at. Okay. What time is this? 10:20. Down. Okay. So 10:45. That's what it looks like. So 10:45 on the 5-minute chart is looking much more bearish to me, right? Much more bearish than the uh 3-minute chart. So let's see the 15-minute chart. There's the first 15-minute candle. There's the next. There's this one. All right, now 10:15, you got a little hammer there, right? At 10:15, that would have been right here, right? This candle. 10:30, right? So 10:30 to 10:45. There's that candle, right? So next, let's go back up. Let's go back to 3-minute. So the point here is that you want to be looking at the 3-minute chart, the 5-minute chart, 15-minute chart. You want to use your multi-time frame analysis, and ideally, you want to see all of those, at least two of them, but ideally all of those time frames in alignment. Next candle, right? So not such a great hammer, right? Now, keep in mind, let's go back. This was 10:45, right? 10:45, there was no hammer on the 5-minute. 5 minutes looking very bearish, extremely bearish, right? 10:30 to 10:45. There we go, right? So this now kind of gave it away, I think. So if we go to the next candle here, right? Next candle, let's go to the 3-minute. I'm just going to keep moving forward. We got 15 minutes left, right? So again, down here, right? You got this volume spike here, but on the 5-minute chart, it was still looking very bearish. So you don't take that trade, right? You still be patient, you wait. And it bounced a little bit out of here, right? So a lot of volume here, a lot of volume here, but now we're just, it's just rolling back down. Next candle, and now we get kind of a hammer candle. Now we're at 11:12. 11:12. Let's now look here. Let's go through the 5-minute. So that's 11:10. Okay. So see this hammer here, right? Again, all those time frames were not in alignment. Yeah, there was a 15-minute hammer, and you could have easily just taken a trade above that, right? Because again, back to my rules, I can take a breakout at the low of the day or the high of the day. I just won't do it in the middle of the price range. So here you could have bracketed that, you would have got triggered anyway, right? Nice looking hammer. Volume was okay. It wasn't, crazy. It was about the same as the volume on these other candles, but not, wasn't like crazy volume. Right? So you get a little bit of pop there. I'm just gonna start just going through here. Right? So you're still not, I still have not on the 3-minute chart, right? I've still not seen my setup. I still have to wait. Definitely haven't seen on the 5-minute. 15-minute, yeah, there was a hammer, but that was on the 15 and not on the other. And, so I'm just going to still be patient, right? Wait, see what happens. Comes down, right? And a lot of people would have just taken this hammer, right? A lot of people would have seen, because a lot of people teach you just like when you see the hammer, take it. Well, no, because again, not every single hammer is created equal, right? But when you get a hammer with a volume spike, that's a different story. Comes down. Okay. Now it's getting interesting. So now we're at 11:45. Okay. Again, what am I seeing? Al, this time you tell me, what am I seeing that's really catching my eye? Yeah, the volume spike. Exactly. The volume spike, right? That is key. And look at that. That volume right there, it exceeds all the other volume until back to here, right? This candle right here. So volume dropped off here, picked up a little bit, dropped off, and then all of a sudden it starts accelerating. And then you get that volume spike with that with that candle. All right, 11:45. Let's go. Let's go to the 5 minute. 11:45. We are at 11:10 here. We got to catch up. Comes down. There you go. 11:45. Right? What do you got? Now you have two of your charts in alignment. You've got the 3 minute showing you hammer with volume. You've got the 5 minute showing you a hammer with volume. See what we look like on the 15. Boom. Come on. How beautiful is that? Right? This right here, 11:45. See how it pays to be patient, right? Wait for the setup to come to you. Know the setups that you want. Now, again, I don't know that this is going to be a winning trade, but when you see this happen, like I will take this trade every single day, all day. Full transparency, I did not take this trade because I was working today and I couldn't trade. I was doing RLT stuff, but I didn't have time to trade today. So you look at this candle, and now also the 3 minute, right? Again, not a perfect hammer, it doesn't matter, but that's the shape is what I care about, right? Is there a lower wick? Is it hammerish? And is there a volume spike? So at this point, and at this time of day, like I'm starting at this point, 11:30. I'm starting to get away from the 3 minute chart and trade off the 5 and the 15. So the way I do it is, so at market open, I'm going to be on a 3 minute chart looking at 3 minute, 5 minute, 15. Later in the day, usually like around 11:30 ish, I'm now just going to be using the 5 and 15 and the 30. So I may not even be looking at the 3 minute chart at this point. I might glance at it, but I'm using the higher time frames, right? Because the later that you get in the day, the less reliable small time frames are, and the more reliable the bigger time frames are. So let's go back to here, right? Hammer candle. We're going to just bracket it again. This is where I do allow myself, right, at these levels to take a breakout. Now, previously, those of you who've been listening to me long enough, you know that there was a time when I would not allow myself to do breakouts, breakdowns at all, because, again, as I already mentioned, the majority of them fail. But in my back trading, I realized that the setups I'm looking for here at the top of the move or the bottom of the move, the breakouts and breakdowns work. So I have adjusted my my trading rules to allow me to take breakouts on setups like these. So set up on the now it's interesting is look over here on the 15-minute, right? So my setup on the 5 minute gets me into the trade before this 15-minute before the high of this 15-minute candle. I'm okay with that. I will take the setup based on the smaller time frame, right? Because you could look at this and you could argue, well, maybe your entry should be here, right? And okay, I wouldn't have a problem with that, but I will, if I see this hammer on the 15, that's just a good confirmation for me. But I can set it up on the 5, right? And so the proper setup for me is this one over here. Look, we're not talking a huge difference here, but I do like to get in as low as possible when going long. right? So next candle, right? Nothing, and then triggered, right? So there I would be triggered into the trade. So my stop is down here, entry here. Okay, indecision candle, maybe I'm wrong, right? Maybe it's not going to work. Okay, another small bullish candle, still, maybe it's not going to work. Doji, may still could fail, right? Could be a losing trade. And by the way, I can't do anything with my stop yet, right? So if I want to move my stop, really what I need to look for is a close above this pivot right here first, or I need to see a strong enough candle with conviction that I feel confident that I could start moving my stop, right? But ideally, I think what I look for is I want to see a close above the most recent pivot in this case, which is right here. But again, if I were to get like a really nice, strong, bullish candle out of here, I'm going to move my stop a little bit. Next candle. Okay. Not really doing anything. All right. Again. Okay. Now that's a nice looking candle. Okay. Now, pretty close. I'm up into here. Now, go back to what I said earlier. Where's price action right now? What indicator is it near that I know to keep an eye on? It's that kind of yellow golden line right there. Does anybody remember which? Yeah, VWAP, right? Volume weighted average price. So if I'm in this trade, right, and it's coming up here, and I already know, right, history repeats itself. It came up here, got rejected. It came up here again, and keep in mind, right, here it got pretty close to touching it. This, as far as I'm concerned, is retesting that VWAP. Right? It doesn't have to touch it. It's close. It's within the range, and it got rejected. So if it's coming up here again, I want to make sure that I am going to lose less than an R. Right now, per my, what I was saying before, like that isn't like the strongest conviction candle. I like the candle; it's nice, but it's not like this candle, right? If the next candle here was this candle, I would definitely be moving my stop up quite a bit. But this is not like crazy, right? This is just an okay candle and we're at VWAP. So at this point, I would just basically take my stop and I would just tighten it up, right? So now I'm definitely losing less than an R if it reverses and takes me out. And I'm okay with that. If I can lose 0.7 R instead of a full R, then it's a win to me. Next candle. Okay. And now we got to close above VWAP and we got the close above here that I wanted, barely, right? But still, I said, as soon as I get it close above this pivot and we made a new pivot here, I'm gonna look to move my stop, right? So where would be a good place if I was like, okay, well, I don't want my stop down here. I'm looking at this low, I'm looking at this low, and I'm thinking, okay, I still want to give it room. I don't want to be too aggressive with moving my stop. So maybe I move it up here. And now I'm losing less than half an hour just by eyeball check, right? Again, I'm not at this point, I'm not fully convinced that this trade is working 100%, right? These candles are not blowing me away. They're okay, but if I saw a bunch of these, I'd be psyched and then I wouldn't have any problem at least getting my stop to break even. So next candle, right? Red candle, okay, fine. I got to sit through and I got to wait through the pullback, right? So again, all the more reason why I didn't get aggressive and move my stop into here, right? I I needed a stronger candle with more conviction in order to be progressive with my stop placement. So anyway, I'm here. I'm good because I'm going to lose less than half an hour if it comes down and takes me out. And we get a little doji here and a little bit of a bounce there. Okay, now great looking candle. Everyone can agree that candle's got some conviction to it, right? It's a nice looking candle. It's strong. We got a new close. So now we're making higher highs. So right now I'm going to go right here, take my stop, and I'm moving it right there. So I'm going below because now here's a new pivot. Move my stop there, and I've got this pivot now. Now it's a free trade, right? Oh, so Frank's saying that's where you got in. Yeah, no, that's, wouldn't you have loved to get in way back here, Frank? And now you're already banking money, right? So move my stop. I'm above break even, feeling good. It's a free trade. There's zero pressure on me now. I can kick back and relax and just let it do its thing. Because no matter what, I'm not going to lose money. I might make a little bit. Next candle. Okay, a little bit of a red candle, not much. I'm just going to go through this quicker because we're almost at 4 o'clock, right? So now we're up here. Now I'm moving my stop again. Now my stop is here. Okay, so at this point, right, just going to be patient. Right now, I can inch it up a little bit, just a little bit, not much. Okay. So, by the way, I should have said my target would have been somewhere around right here would have been my target anyway. So that would have taken me out the trade. All right, 4 o'clock, perfect timing. We got Yates here. See if Yates is here.
What's up, my man?
Hey, how are you?
Doing well. How are you?
Good. Let me stop my share. Perfect timing. I got right to my target right as it hit 4 o'clock.
Nice. Nice work. Are you sick?
So I feel perfectly fine. I sound like crap, and I've been this way all week.
You never were sick? You just have a
No, like I feel perfectly fine. I've been going to the gym. I'm working out. I'm going about my day. Excuse me. I just got some crazy stuff going on in my chest.
huh. That's weird.